To be Wiccan is a way of life. And it's time we learned how. Join the Scarlet Witch on a journey into magic and learn the true meaning of witchcraft as we enter the Witch's Closet with Scarlet Witch.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hello. Welcome. Got this right. Okay. I've got a hot drink today because last time I had Pepsi, and this weather I need a hot drink. So I've got a hot drink today. So hello everybody. See a few. Hello Jeanette.
Hi Jeanette. Hang on, let me just move the light a second because it's
Okay.
in shadow.
Hello. Welcome. Hi Dave. Hi Kate. Hi Don.
There we go.
Oh, it's cold. Oh dear. Right. Hi everybody. Hi Lou as well. Today's show is all going to be about protection. Yes, if anyone's wondering, I am in my dressing gown because it is freezing cold outside. And I pretty much live in my dressing gown if I'm at home, so that's what it is on. It's no witchy aesthetic, it is just my dressing gown to keep me warm. That's it.
It's your witch's robes.
It is, yes. It's cozy. Yeah, so today is all about protection, how to protect your home, your friends, your family, and yourself, of course. So we're going to go into that. I did post up a list of ingredients. I think the guys did it last week, I think it was. So if you've managed to, I think it was last week. The week seemed to go so quickly.
Yeah, it got put about a week ago and I boosted it at the weekend.
Yeah. So if anybody's managed to get hold of the ingredients and would like to take part and join in along with us, that's absolutely fine. If you don't, that's also fine. But I do advise if you've got a notepad or something just to make notes, or if you're watching after, just make notes if you can, because it's good to start. If you want to build up a grimoire or a book of shadows or whatever it is that you're into, it's a good start. It's protection, especially if you're new to the craft and what have you. So just to go over the ingredients that you're going to need, we are going to make witches protection spell jars. So the ingredients that you needed are a small jar or any clean jar. So hopefully, you're going to take part as well, Lou. Fantastic. That's so weird. Look at this. We've got exactly the same size jar. I was going to use my small little, like these sort of style jars. They're really small little spell jars.
Yeah.
But for what I wanted it for myself, I needed quite a big one. So I've got one of my jars that I've reused.
Yeah.
So yeah, small spell jar, sea salt or black witch's salt. I just use normal sea salt. I get a big tub of sea salt, but then we also can use black witch's salt, and that's quite simple to make yourself. Bay leaves.
Massive tub.
Bay leaves. Like show and tell, isn't it? Cinnamon. I've just got normal ground cinnamon. Yeah. Incense ash, which is that on the altar behind me.
Doing at the moment.
Exactly the same as what mine is. Fantastic. Eggshells, and I dried these out, cleaned them, took all the membrane out earlier on, and they've been ground to. You've got that's a lot of eggshell in there, Lou.
See what I mean about Ben gets wound up about me leaving eggshells around before I grind them up.
It doesn't go to waste, you know. And if it doesn't get used in spell, you can just sprinkle it in the ground, and it's great calcium for your soil. So nothing goes to waste in the craft. Lavender. So I've got a little bag of lavender. Rosemary.
This is good for tea as well.
Yes.
I've got a big one.
Talking about tea, I actually made a boo-boo and I have run out of rosemary. Clearly we haven't had lamb in a while. So sorry to any vegans, I do apologise. So I'll be using, it's a purification herb instead. So it's a mixture of cloves, mugwort, and all sorts. So if you have got rosemary, we can use that. If not, you can use cloves, mugwort, anything that's going to represent, that's fine. Pen and paper.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what size pen and paper, that's absolutely fine. And a white candle. You can use a big candle or a small candle. I've got just a normal white spell candle.
I can't find where we put the big ones apart from the one that's got the writing on it. So
that's it. Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, tea, anything that's just a white candle is fine. Tea lights or whatever, it's absolutely fine. And that's all you're going to need for the protection spell jar. Let's have a look. Damon's on. Hi, sounds fun. It is. My sister's on. Hi, Linda. That's my sister. Hello. They have rosemary. You could have, of course, you guys would have had rosemary. I should have in your. Do you want me to run some rosemary in this weather? It's going to take you weeks to get to me, Donna, in this weather. Right. Okay. So let's go back. I think my husband's on as well. He's watching on YouTube. Hi, babe. Right. I don't think I've missed anything. So, so like I said, today we're going to learn one of the most important aspects of witchcraft, I personally think. And that does lead me on to the disclaimer again, which I will do every show to cover the ground of everybody. Anything that I teach or that I say is from my own experience, my own knowledge that I have learnt over the years of studying the craft, things that have been passed down from other witches to me. And it isn't necessarily how you should do it by step, but it's just to give you a guide, especially for people who are completely new to it. So all I ask is you be respectful of everybody's opinions, everybody's views, and just be respectful of people's beliefs as well. So yes, protection.
Quick question from Kate on the rosemary.
From Kate?
Yeah.
If you use fresh rosemary, does it go bad? In the spell jars, I've never used fresh rosemary in a spell jar. I'd imagine it would do, purely because of the moisture content inside it. Dried is better, or if you've got fresh, just hang it up somewhere in a warm part of your room, like an airing cupboard or somewhere, to dry for a little bit, just to take that excess moisture out. Then you can put it in a spell jar. But I do have what you can do with fresh rosemary for protection, which I would explain a bit later on for you, Kate. So I hope that answers that one for you. As I said, it's going to be an interactive show for anybody who wants to create your own protection jars along with us. But if you don't want to, again, that's absolutely fine. Oh, Joe's on. Hi, Joe. Love you too, darling. So, spell jars, also known as witches' bottles. Sorry, I was just reading a note from Damon then. That is, you can microwave fresh rosemary first to stop it from going bad. I did not know that you could microwave. But that kind of makes sense. That does kind of make sense. Okay.
Explode the microwave.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, also known as witches' bottles. They're spiritual tools that can help people identify and pursue their innermost desires. So witches' bottles can be used for anything, not just for protection. It can be used for abundance, for love, harmony, peace. There's so many different reasons you could have a witch's bottle, but the one that I will be showing you today is a protection witch's bottle. So a spell jar is essentially a physical representation of a spell, and the little jars can help the person claim their power and amplify the energy behind them. So some spells you can do via mind, so by your mindset, just by intention. Some you can use as a physical representation, and that being is the spell jar. It can also aid as a reminder. So if you've got a protective spell jar by your front door, for example, every time you walk in or out of that doorway, going in and out of your home, it's just a reminder to know that your home is protected and safe from any negative energies or anything of harm. Michaela's on as well. Hi both. Wild Bill. Jeanette says we have it and it's freezing. Oh, the snow. Sorry, I thought you were I was thinking we have it and it's freezing. A protection jar. Yeah. No, the snow. I'm with you now.
That's a different kind of spell, a freezer spell.
As a Damon said, this is proper cool. Feel like I'm in a herbology class. Yeah. Yes, herbology.
How I feel.
Okay. So spell jars are based on actually folklore magic. Dating back to the 17th century is when they first started to come about. But back then, spell jars were used for protection to ward off evil spirits. But like I said, nowadays they hold a much broader appeal. And depending on what goes in them will depend on what the spell jar is used for. But one of the beautiful things about spell jars is they're super versatile. They're easy to make. You're basically putting items into a jar with your attention to align with the spell, to make the spell manifest. You can make any spell jar that you want. Certain ingredients have certain agreed upon meanings based on folklore and hedge witch healing. For example, rosemary is good for remembrance, lavender for peace, mugwort for vision, holly for protection, etc. And each specific herb is aligned to have a specific spiritual meaning or which meaning that we can use it for in a specific spell. But what I've just said, obviously it's not limited to those. Like holly will be good for multiple other things as well as protection, as for lavender and rosemary, etc.
Yeah.
So once you decide what you want your spell jar to do, it's good firstly to do some research around the spell jar that you're trying to create, to know what herbs, ingredients, crystals, if you're going to add crystals, to create the spell, especially if you're new to the craft. Magic is all based upon intention. So intent is the most important thing, but obviously getting the ingredients right is also just as important as well. So when you decide what elements you want to include, get a clear mindset, get a clear vision of what it is that you want this jar, for example, you want this jar to bring to you or to banish or whatever it is. So taking some time to meditate on it. Some people have like a ritual bath beforehand just to cleanse the mind and get them into a good state to do the spells. Not all witches do that, and that's absolutely fine. I'm kind of a spur of the moment witch sometimes. I go with what my intention leads or how I feel in that moment. If I'm somewhere that I feel is a bit negative, I've been in many workplaces that have been very negative, not mentioning anywhere in particular. And going in, I would just sit in the car and meditate and imagine this big ball of light around me, protecting myself. And that is a form of spell work. There is no ingredients needed, but that is just my intention and pushing my protective aura out there to repel any negative intentions or harm towards me. Yes, so cleansing your jar, if it's a reused jar especially, or any jar, if you've got a jar from the shops or Amazon or anything like that, specifically for spell work, it is very good to cleanse your jars as well. Whether you just wash them out with soap and water and you imagine all the negative you're washing away. Because when items are in shops, a lot of people will pick them up, put them back, and they could be there for months before you come along and you purchase it. But every time somebody picks it up, that energy is on there and you don't know what intentions that person has. So it is a good idea to always wash or cleanse your jars. I've had this jar for a very long time. I actually got it from Starchild in Glastonbury, one of my favourite little apothecary shops. It's been on my altar for a long time, and I'm reusing it today. So I know it's cleansed. I know it's absolutely fine. So make sure you cleanse your jars. And
I got from a tea rooms on Sunday because I had a scone with jam. And I kept the
Oh,
jar.
that sounds so nice. That's
So,
a perfect, actually, with the little jam jars. Is that what it was?
yeah,
That's a perfect idea.
because then you can, you enjoy the jam out of it, and then it's just like use
Yeah.
it afterwards. Just snuck it in my handbag, off I went.
That's it. And it'll be great because it's had was it like strawberry jam, really
It was
sweet
strawberry
jam? The best. So when it's had something sweet in it as well, that'll amplify the smell even more because it's had that sweet nectar almost inside holding it. So that's fine. Right, so where you place your jar will depend on what you want the jar to do for you. So as I said, if it's for protection for your home and the household, generally by the front door is a perfect place to put it, or on your altar. If it's for something to help you study, leaving it on your desk. So when you're studying, if you're at university or whatever, college, leaving it on your desk somewhere to focus on, just to meditate, ground yourself, and remember that that's what that spell was created for, can help you concentrate back into your work and help you learn more. If it's to repel negative like dreams and nightmares, beside your bed is also a good place. If you want it specifically to protect you, carrying it on you, I wear them around my neck as protection. You can keep it in your handbag or in a pocket. As female, I also carry crystals in my bra. I'm always finding crystals in my bra. That's also another form of protection. They're great. Until you, I'm not going to mention any else. Yes, we diverse. Okay, so before I go on to more about protection, we're going to crack right on and make the protection spell jar.
Yay.
Let's have a look who else is to see. That's definitely useful to have protection. 100%, Kate. This, even if you're not a witch, this day and age, I think it's so important to have some sort of protection around you in your home and in your family, because there is so much negativity out there. And a lot of people don't realise they're putting that negativity out. It could be your own family or anything like that. But there's a Egyptian, I think it's a lot of the Middle Eastern areas where we believe in something called bad eyes. And basically it's when somebody unintentionally, through jealousy, puts negative intentions onto you. So even having protection against that, I mean, I wear a blue eye to repel that. That's just going back to my Egyptian heritage. This sort of protection has been going around for a long time. People have been trying to protect themselves from negative energies and forces for ages and ages, from all different cultures and religions. But yes, it is good. Steph's on, first time watching. This is a great live, very informative, doing great. Currently looking for jars around the house. That's right. The blue eye Greek. I think the blue eye stems from a lot of traditions. I know it from Egypt, obviously being Egyptian and half Egyptian, being born over
It
there.
spread quite a way through the
It
Mediterranean
did.
as well, because it's so popular,
did.
because it was thought of as being such a good form. And if Ben was here, he would tell us something particular about the colour blue has a certain significance, but he's not here, but it has.
I know. Yeah. I don't know, obviously from a witch's point of view and a Wiccan point of view, I do know blue is great for like healing and sometimes in for protection as well from psychic attack. I'm just waiting. We need the Ben transition as he comes in and comes back out.
Somewhere up in Leeds at the moment in a hotel, probably with no internet.
Oh, I wonder if he's had as much snow as we've had.
I think we're having a little bit less up there, like where I am and just up. We've not had too much. Yeah. It's not settling.
It is settling here. It's quite well. Actually, quite. It's quite deep actually. Probably it's not somebody in Alaska or something. They'd look out there and think that's their summertime. But we panic, we have that much, and it's like, oh no. Right. Okay. So we're going to do the protective spell jar. First thing, again, this is what I do. Not everybody does it. I'll come back to that point, Kate, but that's a very good point. Yes, not everybody does it, but I always cast a circle around my space whenever I do spell work. For those who don't know, casting a circle protects your space while you're at a vulnerable state, I suppose. When you're doing spell work, you're so focused and all your energy is going into the spell that it can almost cause a bit of a breakage in the barrier of not the aura, but the sacred space of your area, which can lead to negative things coming through. So I always cast a circle of protection, just to prevent that happening. And what I envision is, I imagine my spirit guides almost coming around me, linking hands, in a circle, just protecting me while I'm doing anything to do with spell work. Not everybody does that, but that's what I do. I do also call in the 4 quarters, or the 4 corners, whatever you call them, just to amplify and help me and guide me in whatever I'm doing with the spell work. Again, some people don't do that. That's absolutely fine. This is just what I do. I do have a wand on my altar, which I will get in a second. I do use that for casting the circle. If you don't have a wand, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to have one, but if you do want one, you can get one from nature. We don't recommend breaking them off the trees, but if they're already on the floor and they're broken off, it's fine to take one and decorate it yourself to create a wand. That's absolutely fine. Mine is bought. It is made of hawthorn wood. But if you don't have a wand, you can use your your middle finger. I'm pointing it that way so I don't swear at you all. Now, the reason we use our middle finger in spell casting, you would think it'd be the first finger, the index finger. It's shown on a lot of films with index finger. I think Sabrina the Teenage Witch on the old 90s one uses the index finger, but there's a reason we don't use the index finger. And the reason is, whenever somebody uses their pointy finger for pointing, it's generally with negative intent. If you're telling somebody off or you're pointing at somebody negatively, a lot of negativity comes from that finger, and we don't use that for casting a circle. And they also, the old phrase is, if you've got one pointing at them, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. So we don't use that finger. Well, I don't anyway. So I use the middle finger if I haven't got my wand on me. And you envision in a clockwise direction. So you just imagine the way the clock goes. It's probably mirrored on here, isn't it? But I am doing it the clockwise. We do it clockwise, and you envision a massive circle, or a circle just as big as you want. I tend to envision it around the entire home where I live if I'm doing spell work here, just to protect the entire home from anything sneaking in. And I would generally say I cast this circle in love, light and protection to protect me or there's others with me during my magical work. So mote it be. And that's generally what I say. And as I'm doing that, I envision this almost protective circle of spirit guides around me. And then I mentioned calling in the 4 quarters. We call them, in our coven, we call them the guardians of the watchtowers. And we ask for their presence in any spell work to, like I said, amplify the protection and amplify the intentions and our intentions going into the spell work as well. The one thing I forgot to mention 2 weeks ago, which I think is very important, is the pentagram. A lot of fear has been created from the movies and the media around the pentagram, and it couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of movies you will see, even horror movies, that will use the pentagram in a negative connotation, and it's not at all. It's actually a very protective symbol. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look in the top, in the right way, there we go, top right screen, there is a representation of a pentagram, and it represents the elements. So the one pointing that way represents, so it's earth, air, fire, water, and at the very, very top is spirit. And when you have all those elements, it's extremely protective symbol. So please do not believe what you see from the media or the films or the movies, saying that it's an evil symbol. It is not. It is purely for protection, and it is a very good symbol to have, especially in your home, for protection as well, because it does ward off a lot of negativity. Would you agree, Lou?
I would agree, definitely.
You would agree. It's not a symbol to be feared, no, like the media is portrayed. Definitely not a symbol to be feared.
Yeah.
Okay, so Right, I keep digressing, so I'm not going to digress anymore. We're going to go to the spell jars. So hopefully you've got a clean spell jar. That's fine. And the first thing we're going to add, now every ingredient that you add, you state, if you can say it out loud, that's fine. I add, and then followed by what the ingredient is. So the first thing we're going to add is salt. So if you get a pinch or a large pinch, depending on how big you want your spell jar to be. If it's this size, like a little small spell jar, then just a few sprinkles would be fine. If it's this size, I'd probably fill just that little bottom layer, which I'll show you. So like that. So I filled a little bottom layer, and that's sea salt. You can use, like I said, if you don't want to use sea salt, you can use black witch's salt, or you could use both. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to use sea salt for this particular spell, and it's I add sea salt. Salt, again, great for cleansing, great for protection. That's the basis of our spell jar. The next one we're going to add, and again we say I add, is cinnamon. So you get your cinnamon, and as you add it, just say I add cinnamon. And again, there is a layer of cinnamon. I love the smell of cinnamon. The next thing we are going to add is lavender. Lavender, I found, is a very marmitey sort of scent. Some people either love it or hate it. I love the smell of lavender personally.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't like it, but it's great for protection and other things, which I will mention later. So I add lavender. So in your spell jar now, you should have salt, cinnamon, and lavender. The next thing we add, and this is my pestle and mortar, is crushed, cleaned eggshell. Now, when I use eggshell in any spell, I always remove the membrane lining. If there is any essence of the actual insides of the egg in the eggshell, I just want the shell itself, not any of the membrane or anything like that. The rest of the egg I gave to the dogs raw, and they loved it. So I add eggshell. Eggshell is great for protection. You can sprinkle it around your home, but it is also fantastic for the soil. It adds calcium to the soil. So again, it doesn't do any harm to the ground at all.
I like to mix it when I've had my coffee. So yeah. Coffee grounds, and then a bit of eggshell, mix it all up, chuck it out in the garden.
Coffee's great for the soil. Yeah, coffee's great for the soil. And then at this point, you would add your rosemary. If you don't have rosemary, cloves is fantastic for protection. I'm using purification, which is a mixture of mugwort, cloves, and garden sage. So I add purification. Then the next thing we add is bay leaves. Now, sometimes I write on the actual bay leaf that I want, but for the purpose of tonight's show, I'm going to show you via pen and paper, because I want to show you a specific way how to fold the paper. So bay leaves, sometimes you can write on here what it is that you want. So if it's for protection, you'd write on there protection. If it's protection for specific people, you could write protection in the person's name, and that's fine. So I add bay leaf. It's fine to break it up if you need to break it up if it doesn't fit in your jar. Okay, so that should be all of the herb ingredients and salt in your witch's protection spell jar. The next thing is we want to put the intent in there as well. Now this is where your pen and paper comes into play. So with your pen and paper, write down what it is you want the spell jar to bring to you. So obviously this is a protection spell jar. So like I said, it could be protection for a specific person, it could be protection for you, a family, or just generally your home. Right. Okay. Now, when you've got your piece of paper, obviously this isn't going to fit into this. So we can do some folding techniques. I'm just going to make mine a little bit smaller. There we go. So what we do is if we want to bring something into us, we fold towards us. And we generally fold 3 times. And each time you fold it, you fold towards you. If you are trying to remove something from your life, then you'd fold away from you. So we fold 3 times. And generally at this point, once it's folded, you would just almost close your eyes and just imagine that spell jar coming to fruition. So your home is protected, and you imagine, if it's for your home, imagine this big bubble of energy around your home, in the grounds of your home, keeping it safe, a bit like a shield of armour. If it's for yourself, it could be the exact same purpose, and you imagine that coming to fruition. So when you've done that, you pop that into your spell jar. And then we top it off with some more sea salt. So I add sea salt. And that encases the spell jar in the protective salt. Or black witch's salt, whichever you use it. And then as you seal the jar, you imagine, and most jars will naturally seal clockwise as well, and to open it's anti-clockwise. So if it seals clockwise, you just imagine you sealing in that protective vortex almost inside the jar, like a swirling energy inside, and that is keeping your protective element safe inside. Now to seal it, if you want to seal it, an extra element to it is by using the white candle. And we just light the white candle. A little fun fact when it comes to spell candles, whenever we do...
Pause.
Oh, pause.
Lots of people are asking about the incense ash.
Oh, okay. So I'm missing. I can't multitask. I should have been a male in a previous life. Where's the incense ash? Incense ash, babe. What's the question? Where's the question? Let's have a look.
Because we've not used any incense ash yet.
Oh, we haven't, have we? 1 second. I'll go back to that. Let me go and grab it. Well remembered. See, I'm trying to think of 1,000,001 things to do. I've completely forgotten. Right, here we go.
When you're doing it, don't you?
It is. Okay, so I've been collecting my incense ash. I have 3 of these around the home of collecting incense ash because they are very useful. So if you get your incense ash, it's fine to open your jar up, that's fine, because it's you that's intent. And sprinkle your incense ash in. And there we go. Thank you for the reminder, whoever it was. I didn't see that one. And then reseal that back up. Pop that thought form back into it. Protection with that. Okay. So back to the candle. We're back on track now. So light your candle. Now, what I was going to say about the candle, when it comes to magic, what I do, and I do say I because I don't like to offend anybody in case they do it differently, is I don't, if it's a candle for spell work, I don't blow out a candle. It is believed that when you blow the candle out, you're blowing away your intention. That's where it comes from. So we waft them out or we snuff them out with a snuffer. But we don't blow them out if it's for spell work. So you'd light your white candle, allow it to burn just for a few seconds. Watching the flame, because the flame is also a magical element. How it moves will give you an indication of how your spell will manifest. Generally, if it's a tall, large flame, quite still, it's generally going to be quite effective. If it goes out or it's black soot or smoke that comes off it, generally it's not so effective. But we can go into that in another show, because there's also other ways of reading the wax as well. How the wax drips, which way it flows is also how well your spell is going to come to fruition. So once you've got a bit of a wax melt, just drip, try and do it on camera, drip the wax from the white candle onto your spell jar, around the edges. Just to seal that intent. And generally, if you share your home with any members of your family, they will probably know you're a witch. If they don't, they will now. And they will know that if they come across a sealed spell jar, not to open it. I was asked a question the other day. I can't remember who asked me, but they said if you were doing gardening and you dig up, or you've recently moved to a house, you dig up gardening and you find a jar sealed like this, is it okay to open it? No, it is not okay to open it. Just move it to another part of the garden if you have to, or put it back. The amount of times I've seen YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers do this, they will purposely go finding things in their home, and then they'll open it, and not good things come from it, put it that way. So if you find one, or if you find one in the woods, at crossroads, a lot of witches use crossroads in their magical workings. Do not open it, leave it there. And if there is anything written on it, do not read what is written on it either.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. The amount of times I'm watching videos on TikTok and they found something while renovating their house, and it's like an old box that's sealed with wax and inscriptions, and they get it out and they're like, oh, shall we open it? And I'm like, no, let's not open it. Let's leave it and put it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've dripped your wax. You can go the whole hog and completely cover it, so it's like I've done with mine. So the complete top is sealed and it's just dripped with wax. That, like I said, if it's for protection for your home, will be left at the front door. If you have a porch, you can leave it inside your porch. If it's for protection for you, keeping it on you in a bag, or if it's a smaller version, around your neck or in a pocket. If it's for protection for somebody else, you can make that and give it to them. Just make sure they're aware what it is. If they're having a really rough time, just say to them, I've made this little protection jar for you. If you want to keep it on you or keep it in your home just to give you a bit of positivity in your life, that's fine, but just tell them what it's for. Don't say I've got a surprise, pull it out, find out they're highly religious and you never see that friend again. Be careful not to offend. just tell them what it's for. And that is a very, very, very simple spell jar. Protection spell jar. Like I said, we can do spell jars for money, abundance, love. As long as it isn't messing with somebody's free will, then generally you can tailor it to you. That's absolutely fine. Now, before I move on, let's just because I keep missing so many questions.
Yeah, we've been busy. We can go back to the comments.
We've missed a few. Right. Okay, let's go back to here.
That one's mine. Well done.
Hey, lovely.
There we go.
They're great, those little size jars. I've never thought about using the little jam jars. That gives me an excuse now to go for more afternoon teas.
Definitely.
Anything where food's involved. So Kate put the Egyptians considered blue colour as the divine, while it was a symbol of gods for Sumerians. There we go. Kate's a knowledge of wisdom. Wild Bill says he uses a red eye due to his fire sign. I'm presuming he's meaning his star sign in astrology there. Egyptians had the evil eye, but also the eye of Horus as well. They did. That's right, Damon. Generally associated in Middle Eastern countries. My sister. Is a selenite wand okay? Selenite wand is absolutely fine. I have one. Let me go grab it. Selenite, for those who don't know or don't realise, is a fantastic crystal to have because it amplifies and can cleanse the energies of the other crystals. So some people have selenite bowls purely to put their crystals in because it's great for cleansing and charging your crystals. It's a fantastic crystal to have in your home. I will use it when I'm smoke cleansing friends, family, or anything like that. I'll lay it in front of them just to create that protective element for them, to fill in the void of anything I'm working with. So yes, selenite is absolutely fine to use. It's a great piece of crystal to have. Clearly, if someone doesn't have a wand, they're not a wizard. Remember, the wand chooses the wizard. That's a Harry Potter reference, Damon, isn't it? The wand chooses the wizard, Harry. That was a really bad impression, I'm sorry. I'm not pointing at anything ever again. Yeah, it is an old thing. One pointing at them, there's three pointing back at you. I was taught to use my little finger for making and spell casting from Wild Bill. That's absolutely fine. If that's how you were taught, that's absolutely fine. It's just generally not the index finger because it is associated with negativity. This is a great one from Damon. The pentagram was deemed bad after Satanism reversed it to symbolise the opposite of what it was supposed to mean. That is true. However, a lot of people see a reversed pentagram and fear it because it has association to the Satanists and what have you. But a lot of people don't realise that a reversed pentagram is actually also a symbol of the horned god, which in Wicca we not worship, but we work alongside with. And the horned god actually is a representation of the horned god, where Satanism stemmed from with the religion side of it. But we, as Wiccans, we don't believe in Satan. So a reverse pentagram is nothing to fear. It's the intention behind it, exactly. Representation, skull and bones. Good question from Kate. If you wear lots of crystals and stuff like that for protection, is the more you add, the better it is, or does it mess up and interfere with each other? Like adding way too many toppings to an ice cream? Very good question, Kate. When I'm doing spell work, choking on air, 1 second. When I'm doing spell work, I will generally add only the crystal that is in relation to what I am trying to achieve. I didn't add crystals to the spell jar, well, that particular spell jar. Primarily the reason I knew other people might be wanting to get involved and they might not have had a chance to get hold of that crystal if they're very, very new to it. But for a protective jar, I would add any of the obsidians, tourmalines, anything like that. The ones I wear, now these are only a few that I wear, but there is a reason why I wear these ones in a specific order. So I have Tiger's Eye, the Witch's Stone, which is for protection. I'll leave that one for a second. Then I have Amethyst, for peace of mind and love, and Turquoise for clarity and clear thinking. Now, in between the protection and the amethyst, I have clear quartz, because clear quartz will amplify the other two stones at either side of it. I wouldn't go about putting my arm full of crystals and going out and thinking I'm protected, because what all that will create, obviously crystals have their own energies, is a manic sort of state. Yeah, you're having crystals.
It's vibrated to different frequencies. So
exactly.
If you look at it on that point of view, if you've got so many different frequencies going off and they're all attached to your body, that's gonna it's going to do something a bit
Yeah.
perfect. You're going to be a bit
It will.
maybe.
It certainly will.
Not quite the
If
state
not,
mind you're after.
no. And if you're on edge, you then actually make yourself more vulnerable. So you actually do more harm than good. If you wear certain crystals for certain elements for your particular day, like I said, if you're going to work and you have to work in a negative area, wearing a black obsidian crystal is fine, or having it in your pocket. But to amplify that, having it next to a clear quartz crystal or a selenite crystal is absolutely fine, because that crystal is just amplifying the benefits of the obsidians or the tourmalines. So each one you put on needs to have a purpose that it's on for, and not to counteract the others. So like I said, I wouldn't just buy loads of crystals and just shove them on, because it will confuse the state of mind and your own vibrations as well. So I hope that answers that one for you, Kate. Michaela, did you add the incense, Ash? Thank you. I did now. Positive thoughts, if they don't know. So, Reverend Wild Bill, I try to seal with the wax of a certain colour depending on what is being used for health, wealth, protection, and so on. Exactly that. We do exactly the same thing in witchcraft. For protection, I did use a white one because it's more easier for people to get hold of if they're not into the craft. But when you work more with the craft, the next time I'm doing the show, we'll be working on colour candle magic. So what each colour represents. For example, like if it's for health, I'd use a blue wax. If it's for love, I would use a pink or a red wax. Some protection ones, I could use black wax. But a white candle will take the role of any other colour candle if you don't have that specific colour candle. So if you want it for health and you don't have a blue candle, you can use a white one to replace the blue. It's only the white that you can do that with, but white can replace any other colour. And again, that's all with intention as well. So yes, we do a similar thing. I love that. Rule of thumb, if you see it on TikTok or YouTube, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's accurate. Yes. I run the wax from lid to jar that I can still say it's being tampered with. Yeah. That's what we've done around here. So the wax is dripped around the edge to see if that seal has been broken. Can you just, not this Saturday, next Saturday, Kate will interview me in here as a special show not to be missed. Not this Saturday, next Saturday. Lou, will you remember that one? Because I'm not going to remember that one.
Well,
Damon's comment.
Where? Bobby. Okay,
So there is a show that Damon and Kate are going to be doing, not this Saturday, the following Saturday. Kate's going to be interviewing Damon on here.
Has that been set up now? They don't tell me anything.
And it's a special show not to be missed. So if you can tune into that, guys. Jeanette says, I have a selenite wand. Yep. Male and female intertwined. Baphomet, basically the goat with the boobs. Right, keep going down. We'll get back to... Right. Can I heat the wax in the microwave and use it? We're not allowed candles in our apartment complex for fire hazard reasons. You can do it in a microwave. However, obviously, when you light a candle, the fire is a representation of one of the elements. So it is an important part. But like I said, when it comes to magic, it's your intention that's key. So if you physically are not allowed, due to health and safety, to light a candle in your apartment, one side of me would be like, if I'm really careful, would they know? That would be one side of me.
Just hold it out the window while you're doing it.
Yeah. But for reasons, obviously, like you've said, if you can't do it and you don't want to risk that, then use the microwave. Just put that intention in, or imagine it being under a bubbling cauldron of fire and stuff like that, and just imagine it instead if you really can't. The other option is to go outside and do it outside and then bring your protection jar inside. That's your other option if you're allowed to do that. Yeah, Wild Bill's just put, take the candle outside and seal it. I'll have to use the candle outside, look like a real witch. Right, okay, now we've caught up with the questions, I'm going to go back to the teaching side. So, where did we get to with my notes? We've done all this. Right, okay. So protection magic, because obviously tonight's show is all about protection, and I will go into other ways of protection for your home if you can't, like Kate said, you can't use fire. So protection magic is not usually intended to harm anyone. Rather, the spell jar should protect you from potential negative energies that could pose physical harm or even psychic attack. So essentially, protection spells work by creating a shield that keeps away negative forces. Basically, that's how it will work. But there are types of protection spells. Now we have wards, which is what we have done this evening. That is a type of ward protection. And they create a shield or a barrier to stop negative influences from crossing the line. So it's believed when you put the spell jar at the front door, nothing negative can cross that threshold, and your whole home is protected if you've put that intent out there. Then you've got reflective protection magic. It's similar to ward magic, and they still create the shield around a certain line, but instead of just prevention of unwanted influences from entering, they also act by reflecting the harmful energy back to where it came from, or you can reflect it back to the ground to neutralize the intention sent from a person or whatever. And a good example of this, I do a specific reflective magic every single day for my son. Before he goes to school, I get him and me, this is the only magic that I will get him involved in at this moment in time because he is still quite young, is I get him to imagine mirrors, and I do this as well with him, completely around him, facing outwards, so the mirror's facing out, head to toe, and I say that the mirror reflects any harmful, negative, hurtful, bullying words or actions from coming to him, and will reflect them back to sender and only allow love, light, peace and friendship to come through those mirrors. But I also state that he radiates love, light, peace and friendship to attract like-minded friends. So that's what I do. That's an example of reflective magic. There is no ingredients involved. That is purely intent and you imagining the mirrors around you, and you can do that yourselves anywhere. So that's reflective magic. Then we have combat magic. Now, combat magic slightly falls into the grayer area. A lot of witches and Wiccans will do combat magic for protection because it's kind of using the person's own negativity against them. We're not sending it out, it's just using what they've sent to us back to them. That's purely all it is. So just as the name suggests, they're combative in the way they exert reactionary responses, which allows us to transform negative energy but use it to fuel various other magic. So say if somebody is sending negative thoughts your way or negative intentions your way, we can use that negativity to fuel our other magic. So if we want to use protection magic from said person, we kind of imagine a thought form of that negativity that person has invoked on us. We put it into the protective jar and we reflect it back to them. So it's kind of combining all types of magic into one spell, really. It's a very powerful, effective form of magic as well. A lot of people ask, does protection magic work? Spell casting, like anything in life, requires practice. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes, purely for the fact that you know what herbs are representation of what colour candles are representative of what crystals are representative of what. But the more you practice it, the easier it comes. You should always have a clear purpose with your intent. Always try and be in a good mental state, good frame of mind if you can. Generally using the correct recitation of words, and if you're going to do circles, make sure it's done the correct way. There is a tribe of the Trobriand Islanders, who are well known for their magic and spellcasting. And they state the efficiency of any spell relies on the correct form of performance. So as long as the spell is used for the correct purpose of what it's to be used for, the ingredients are the correct ingredients, and the intent is there, generally the spell will come to fruition. My opinion, personally, is that for a spell to work, you have to have complete belief that what the spell you are doing is going to work. If you do the spell and think, I don't think this is going to work, it's not going to work. You have to have full faith that what you are doing and the power that's come from you is going to create the magic that you've sent out. Any hesitations, and generally the spell won't be as powerful, if at all. So you need to fully believe, and a lot of the time that comes with manifestation as well. When people try to, I've seen on TikTok, there's something going around called the Lucky Girl manifestation or something, where it's if you constantly say you're a lucky person, luck will come to you. And I kind of can see some truth in that. However, manifestation works. I have seen people where they'll sit there and go, I really want to manifest a new car or a new job or a new money. Now, if you want manifestation to actually work, what you should do is envision yourself already in that job, or already in that new car, or already with an abundance of money. Don't envision you wanting it, because it comes from a place of negativity. So if you're struggling for money and you're asking for more money, it's come from a place because you need money. Whereas if you envision yourself already having that money, or you envision yourself already getting that new job, it kind of aligns with the universe's vibrations, and generally it manifests much easier and has a better outcome. Now, life always has a duality. So whether it's good, bad, hot, cold, hard, soft, death, rebirth. And protection magic isn't about keeping bad things from happening to you. That's a very important thing to remember. It's not, by putting a protection jar at your front door, it is not going to stop all negative things happening to you. It's not going to stop you from becoming ill. It's not going to stop, general life things happening to you. But what it will do is it will help you go along with the vibrations of life, so that if you do become poorly, or unfortunate things do happen, it will help you to manage and cope during that time. It will also stop the negative energies coming through and replace it with more positive energies to give you the focus to be able to get through a difficult time. So don't go on the thought that having a pile of salt by your front door is going to stop negativity from, or bad things from happening to you, because it potentially still will. We're all human. We all go through exactly the same path of life, so to speak. So good and bad things happen to us all. Being a witch doesn't mean you're going to stop that, but what it does, having the protection jars, means it's going to put up a shield to help you deal with it should things do happen. Right. Yeah. Just keeping an eye on the comments. So I will quickly go through, because I know we're running out of time, other herbs that you can use for protection. So like I said, rosemary is fantastic. Now, I think it was Kate that mentioned earlier about fresh rosemary. Now, if you want to use fresh rosemary, that's absolutely fine. If you can put a bundle of it together or in a bag, pop it under your pillow. Rosemary is fantastic for warding off nightmares. So if you're somebody that suffers with nightmares, put a bundle of it under your pillow or in a little Hessian bag or something, whatever. Pop it under your pillow and it generally dispels nightmares. Also, rosemary oil. Pop a few drops on your hand, on your temples, on your wrists. If you're going somewhere that you need clear thinking or clarity, rosemary oil is great for that. Rose, believe it or not, the actual rose, known as the heart opening and healing plant, is also great for energetic protection and boundary making. So if you're somebody who's very much a yes person, having rose is great if it's on your person, to learn how to say no to people, basically. But it's also, rose is an exceptionally high vibrational plant as well. And it draws out the funk, as I call it, after being exposed to dense or challenging energies. So I call them energy vampires. If you've been around somebody who just drains you and they feel like drained once you've been around them. Wearing rose or having rose after, or rose tea or anything like that, will just recharge those energies in you. Chamomile, not just a relaxant, used in spells for abundance and luck, but it's also, again, a fantastic energetic protection. Planting chamomile around the home also wards off psychic attack as well. Mint and peppermint, used in sacred circles to keep out unwanted energies. Mint repels and protects. Can also be used in protective spell bottles like we've done today, as it also draws wealth and love, as well as keeping out nasty vibes. That's mint. Horsetail. Horsetail is a fantastic herb, not used very much at all. I feel like it's kind of forgotten about sometimes. And it's said to have originated more than 100 million years before dinosaurs walked the planet. That's what it's said. As well as an anti-inflammatory and an antimicrobial and an antifungal, it's also good for strengthening boundaries, again, and protecting yourself and your home. So that's horsetail. Nettle, again, another one, mugwort, comfrey, basil, and verbena. As well as verbena smelling lovely, it's also great for protection. But there's other ways of protection, and I'll go through these very, very quickly. So you can place a protective stone or crystal around your home. You can lay dried or fresh herbs around your home, or hang them from doorways or on your altar, wherever you want them. The use of pentagrams around your home. I have pentagrams all over the home, generally front and back, to protect all the energies. Place bowls of salt water in all corners of the room, well, four corners of the home. Garlic cloves on top of doorways is another one. And creating protection amulets or witches' bottles by the front door, and sigils. I use salt water, but I'll use my own protective sigils, like in the air with the salt water or incense or whatever, to amplify the protection. And we've also just gone past the first of the month, and I blew cinnamon through the front door. So if anybody doesn't know that, first of the month, blow cinnamon through your front door and it brings abundance for the month, apparently. But yes. So that is, that's it for the protection side of it. Again, we're going just through the basics, just to teach those who are new to it, the craft. I hope you've learned something. If you haven't learned anything, rewatch again and keep rewatching until you have learned something. So let's have a look to see if we've got many questions. Have we got many questions? Let's have a look. Wild Bill, gotta run, super time. Oh, supper time, and the boss is hungry. Peace and light. Neat oil. Yes, no, sorry, Jeanette. They can be used with a carrier oil. I should have mentioned that. I do apologise for that. I think some essential oils can be used. I think lavender can be used. There are certain oils that can, but I know some shouldn't. That's correct. Thank you so much. Really enjoying your show. Thank you, Kate. Suzanne, thank you. Absolutely awesome. You're very welcome. Damon, brilliant show, guys. Thank you, Damon. I don't think I've missed any questions. I don't think. Yeah, lavender and tea tree. That's right. Have I missed any questions, Lou? Can you see any I've missed?
I think you're okay.
No,
to be fair.
I think we're okay.
You can't answer everybody anyway.
No,
You know.
exactly. You're very
Not
welcome.
got actual things that you want to talk about. So if anyone's got
Yeah.
any other questions, they can again comment after the show if you want them to be answered. If we've not answered them currently, and we'll get around to them. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You can message the Other Dimension page, and then one of us will answer it for you. Any questions? The next show for the Witch's Closet in 2 weeks, like I said, we'll be doing candle magic, and we're going back to the origins of certain phrases, pagan traditions that have come about, that have been rebranded by another religion, shall we say, but we're going back to but I'm trying to be so correct, politically correct here. But yeah, stolen. Yeah, I didn't say stolen, I said rebranded. But yeah, we're going to go back to yes, pagan origins of where certain roots come from.
and what is actually witchcraft, and a lot of people don't realise. We're going to do that as well. You won't need any ingredients for the next one at all, because it's just going to be more of an education one, so that'll be fine. But thank you all for whoever's watched tonight. Thank you for whoever's tuned in, and thank you for everybody's watched in the future. As always, have a blessed week, and stay warm. Hopefully you don't get too much snow, and take care all. Love and light to all. Bye.